There is massive unrest unfolding in Sudan. The deadly fighting between the army and the paramilitary has continued into a second day. As many as 56 civilians have been reportedly killed. The country's doctors syndicate says close to 600 people have been injured. After days of tensions between paramilitary force and the country's army, explosions and shooting rocked the Sudanese capital of Khartoum on Saturday, raising fears of a wider conflict in the chaos-stricken nation. The sound of heavy firing could be heard throughout the day across the capital and its sister city of Omdurman. The military and the RSF have amassed tens of thousands of troops since the coup. Moreover, the UN's food agency has suspended its operations in the country after 3 of its staff were killed in the restive Darfur region. And as the two groups battle for control of the chaos-stricken nation, a video posted on Sudan's Armed Forces official Facebook page appears to show Sudanese Armed Forces personnel removing a sign reading Rapid Support Forces from a camp entrance in Qadarif province. While on the streets of the capital Khartoum, during the morning hours, army tanks were seen patrolling the streets. Meanwhile, the two sides have traded blame and accusations over who started the fighting. Each have claimed the upper hand by declaring control of key sites, including the airport and the presidential palace. None of their claims could be independently verified. Now, tensions between the army and the paramilitary stem from a disagreement in Sudan over how the RSF, headed by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, should be integrated into the military and how they should assert their authority. The merger is a key condition of Sudan's unsigned civilian transition agreement. Now, let me tell you more about the RSF, or the Rapid Support Forces. The RSF emerged from militias involved in the conflict in the Darfur region of Sudan, which broke out 20 years ago. The body has been accused of human rights abuses. It operates under its own legal code and chain of command. The RSF joined with the military to oust President Omar Hassan al-Bashir in 2019. The two forces then carried out another coup in October 2021, but the relations between military and the RSF have since deteriorated. So now, you must be wondering, who really is in charge of Sudan? Is it the army? Is it the paramilitary? Who is it? Now, under the August 2019 agreement, the military agreed to share power with civilians ahead of elections. That arrangement was abruptly halted by the 2021 coup, which triggered a new campaign of mass pro-democracy rallies across Sudan. Moreover, to better understand the situation unfolding in Sudan, let me tell you what is the regional picture of the country. You see, Sudan is in a volatile region, bordering the Red Sea, the Sahel, and the Horn of Africa. Its strategic location and agricultural wealth have attracted regional power plays, complicating the chances of a successful transition. Several of Sudan's neighbors, including Ethiopia, Chad, and South Sudan, have been affected by political upheavals and conflict. Sudan's relationship with Ethiopia, in particular, has been strained over disputed farmland along their border. And since the 2021 coup, billions of dollars in international support and debt relief have been frozen, halting development projects, straining the national budget, and worsening an already dire humanitarian situation. The regional heavyweights, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, have seen Sudan's transition to a democratic government led by civilians as a way of pushing back against Islamist influence in the region. They, along with the US and Britain, have sponsored mediation in Sudan along with the United Nations and African Union. And in recent years, Sudan, a member of the Arab League, has become a flashpoint in a battle for influence between Russia and Western powers. The Western powers fear the potential for a Russian base on the Red Sea, which Sudanese military leaders have expressed openness to. Even the Kremlin has pressed Sudan for the same. Russia wants to dock its warships at the ports of Sudan's Red Sea coastline. And the private Russian military company Wagner, it has sent operatives to to Sudan to prop up the military government and also runs a major gold mining concession there. For more on this, we are being joined over the phone line by Dalia Mohammed, a former journalist from Khartoum. Welcome to the broadcast. To begin with...
Thank you. Hello.
Yes, hello. I want to ask you, Dalia, international community to neighboring states, Egypt, South Sudan, they're all asking for a halt to the violence which is ensuing in Sudan. But the violence only seems to be increasing and spreading to other parts. What are the possible outcomes of the violence for Sudan as a nation?
First of all, I think there needs to be more done from the international community besides condemning and releasing statements. They need to apply more pressure on both the army and the RSF.
Right.
Simply because there is no other way that we can de-escalate the situation at the moment unless pressure comes from abroad, because pressure from within this country is not going to come, because we're literally, we civilians are trapped. Yes. We can't do anything. So the pressure needs to come from outside. And I will also add, it's because of the lack of pressure and the and the placating of the RSF and the army by the international community that has brought us to the situation that we're at this moment in time. When they should have taken a stronger position against the RSF and the army, they took a weaker position. They allowed them to become a more powerful forces than they are. And this has led us to the situation we're at this moment in time.
Dalia, I also wanted your thoughts on what are the impacts on Africa as a whole due to the violence which is going on as of now in Sudan.
Okay, well, the violence is not just contained in Khartoum, the capital. It's also taking place in several other parts of the country, like in Darfur.
Yes.
And already I read a report that Chad is mobilizing its troops to man the borders between Sudan and Egypt, because the borders between the majority of African countries are very open, they're very porous. And for example, when the civil war erupted in Ethiopia, Eastern Sudan took in a lot of Tigray refugees. And so there's also the chance of a spillover from Eastern Sudan into Ethiopia and Eritrea. The same can be applied to Western Sudan. The same can be applied to Southern and Central Sudan with South Sudan as well. So it's a very flux situation. And there's also clashes happening in Northern Sudan in the borders with Egypt. So you're looking at a scenario that if not contained, can really spread and can really become more of a problem, more of a regional issue than it need be. But how can anyone contain this? I don't know. I wish I did. I don't think anyone knows at this moment.
Thank you for joining in, Dalia. Thank you for those inputs.
Thank you for having me.
Right.